out here, deep in the night as the dust settles, and thinking about how much time we waste and how easy it is to waste time. My friends, a wise man once said that time is like a river rushing by, never to return. And how we seize this moment and how we seize the day is going to really define our lives. And like last night, I had a few hours to myself and I was just scrolling on Instagram because it was easy. And then I was like throwing on another Netflix episode because it was easy or pleasurable. And I caught myself, looking at my nightstand, and there sat Aristotles Politics and all these books I've always wanted to read. And I just asked myself, dude, when are you gonna read those books? When are you actually gonna do the thing that you really wanted to do with your nights? When are you gonna start the art? When are you gonna learn the guitar? When are you gonna, get in the gym on a consistent basis? All these things, if you could go back to your 8-year-old self and dreaming of the man you could be, when are you gonna become that, So I just started reading Aristotle's Politics, and man, it inspired a lot. And I just felt so in alignment with my life. And I realized quite a few things in that, things that I've known before and just remembered and want to remind you of. And that is that we live in a world of weaponized temptations right now. It's so easy to waste time. Wasting time is actually the norm. Watching TV, scrolling on your phone, being in, partying, just wasting your energy and wasting your time. And it's lack of conviction in where do you want to go? Who do you want to be? It's lack of values in that, and there's lack of virtue in how we use our leisure time. And I was thinking about it as man, I scroll a lot because I'm lonely. That's just the reality. A lot of people, you probably included, a lot of your lusts and cravings and, pleasure-seeking activity comes because you're lacking connection. You're either lacking connection to people, you're lacking connection to your dreams, you're lacking connection to your purpose. When you're lacking connection, you are lonely, right? You're lacking connection to yourself, you are lonely. And in loneliness, we seek pleasure, right? So the main thing in terms of using our free time, using our leisure well, which is the most important thing if you're a self-actualizer. If you're really gunning to bring forth your most glorious self and your most flourishing life, it's about using your free time responsibly, right? And to do that, we have to learn how to be a companion to ourselves, a better companion to ourselves, because we don't have the culture that helps support us. We don't always have relationships that help support us. A lot of us don't have the teachers and mentors that help support us, and we don't have the friends that help support us. So in that, it's how can you be an amazing companion to yourself? And I'm gonna talk about a couple principles of doing that. Just my thoughts here, but the first one is minimize resistance to doing the right thing. I really do believe there is virtue, and then there's everything else, right? I don't think there's a black and white, right and wrong. I've been thinking about this, talking to my girlfriend. But to me, there is virtue, and that is what is best. What is the best use of time? What is the best way to navigate relationships? What is the best way to go through life? And this is the classical sense of the ideal, is living with virtue. And virtue in how you use your leisure time. And that looks like removing temptation, right? Removing temptation is such a good start of being a better companion to yourself. Is Instagram, Facebook, Netflix, are these things in alignment with your dreams? For me, they're not. I would much rather read at night than watch Netflix, right? And so just deleting these apps and having a better mental habits around how you use social media and how you use these quick dopamine hits, right? So removing temptations and minimizing resistance to doing the thing, I think it's really important when you have downtime, when you have leisure, to know your avenues, your outlets that are moving the ball forward so you don't have to think about it. One way for me that I do this is audiobooks and walking. I find that I can actually read a lot more books, and I love doing this. I like taking long walks at night and just listening to a book. I think another way to use our leisure time really well is you gotta know where you're going, my friends. Like, what I have a burning desire right now to be very successful on YouTube, to be very successful in my work. Like, I have dreams of, traveling the world, doing all these things. So it's really clear, like, when I have good energy, how to use that is towards creating. If we want to live our strongest lives, our most actualized lives, think about living your strongest day, right? What does your strongest day look like? And now here's where most people get caught, right here, is they try to live their strongest day and they can do it once, you can do it twice, but it also takes like a ton of willpower and desire and effort. And then like we fall back into like what's more comfortable, right? And so I actually see the path being more so is, yes, like have that glorious, heroic, energy and quest into the day, but also how can you just make it so easy to live in integrity, right? Like just minimize resistance, minimize temptations, find outlets that feel right. If something feels too forceful, like trying to read nonfiction to me felt too forceful, it's because it's not quite all the way in alignment with your essence. Right? There's another path. It might be listening to audiobooks. It might be going to a class, right? It might be buying a course. Like there might be attending, some kind of intellectual discourse in your town or something. Like there's other ways to do it. And that's the thing is if you're repeatedly dropping the ball and wasting your time, it's because the thing that you're probably trying to do isn't quite in alignment with your essence and there's a better way of going about it. The same thing goes for your work or your craft. Is when things feel too effortful and you keep having to use willpower to do it, it's because it's outside of alignment with your essence in some way. And that's the thing is like looking at the ways where we're efforting and looking at the ways where we're failing and realizing that we need to adapt in that area. And this is where like actual self-actualization work comes into play. It's about self-knowledge. And self-knowledge is recognizing what feels more effortless when you have vitality. When you have energy, what feels more effortless and what brings you joy. There might be resistance to hard work. There might be resistance to reading that nonfiction book. But like, if you can minimize resistance and get into it, like, does it feel natural, right? So there needs to be some discernment here. I'm not saying like just like mighty levels of Goggins and Jocko Willink discipline is like how you manifest. You don't have to be David Goggins to self-actualize. You just got to be intelligent with how you structure your life and day. So yeah, I think learning to be a companion to yourself in solitude so that you're creating connection to your spiritual path, your creative path, your self-connection and your relationship to other people, crafting those things, elevating those things, and notice where you seek pleasure, where temptation's strong, like where you let yourself down. Look at those places and try to adapt them towards a more harmonious, virtuous path. And virtue, it is hard, but it shouldn't be super effortful, right? Like virtue is actually more of a natural outflowing when you're in alignment with yourself is the thing that's coming through in this video. And yeah, my friends, time is not for wasting. Like you could die tomorrow. You could die in 20, 30 years. Like, and at the end of most people's lives, they look back and like, where did the time go? Where did the time go? Are you doing the things that you fucking love, my friends? Are you doing the things that bring you closer to your destiny? Are you doing the things that you always dreamed of doing? Or are you wasting that time thinking that, oh, later I'm gonna do that? When am I gonna read those books? It's now. It starts now, my friends. Thanks for watching. If you want to talk to me one-on-one, join my men's group and be held accountable to the higher version of you. There is a link in the description below. Either way, see you later. Peace.